as a contractor. Stop fishing in another guy's pond. Take
Yeah.
care of your own pond. Take care of your customers. Love your customers. Make sure they love you. If you're a little guy, you got to go get some Guerrilla marketing.
Yep.
Like, you have to be handing out business cards. You have to be getting your technicians to put door hanger. There's absolutely nothing wrong with running a business. Make your goal 5 million, lay it all out for yourself, and then just enjoy the business in your life. Why add the headaches?
So today we're joined by Michael from Smith Pink Trucks, and you guys have been in business I think since 1974. And they have like these super pink, vibrant trucks that are on the road. So I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about that. But Michael, if you could just introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about yourself and the company, that'd be great.
Sure. So I've been in the HVAC world for about 36 years. I started in the late 1989. I did some other things before I came back to this industry. It was something I kind of grew up in with my dad. But then I went to college, played football. I actually got a degree in accounting. I'm a CPA, and then I went to graduate school at Northwestern, and I've got an MBA in finance and marketing. So when we get to the pink trucks later, we'll talk about the worth of a branding education from Kellogg's School at Northwestern. It's been a great ride. I'm near the end of the ride now, and everything seems to come full circle. So there's lots of things we can talk about, but fundamentally came into the business. It was a very different business in the early 90s. I was fortunate enough to get a invitation, and I joined Contractor Success Group back in 91, the Jim and John show, and really brought a professionalism to the business that hadn't been there. I've been in the industry a long time. I do training. I've done training for manufacturers, Goodman and Manna, Ray and Rude, done lots of training, on-site training for distributors as well. Because of my background in finance, contractors aren't normally very strong in that. So I'll go out and do budgeting classes or financial statement development classes or stuff like that. But the industry changed a lot. And I think us older guys are getting near the end where, I'm almost at the point where I'm happy to be stepping away. It's getting tough with private equity and things coming in. It's tough. We're independent still. We've certainly been approached many times. My hesitancy on there is I was part of I was the original company of the 13 that went into Service Experts. So when Service Experts launched in 1996, I was one of the original 13 that launched. Went to work for Service Experts down in Nashville for a couple of years, and then left them when it was obvious that the leadership there wasn't going to drive the business where it needed to go. They were chasing money instead of chasing business development processes and things.
Yeah.
When you do that, when you go public or you go private, they're private equity, the demands quarter to quarter on the business are pretty substantial. And if you're not an operator who can operate in that way, it's difficult. But anyway, we Far Service actually left there, then joined Jim and John again in Clockwork Home Services. I helped build, or I was a lead on the building BuyMax, Buy Group online. I believe it's still existing today, BuyMax. Spent some time with them, left, and went back into the services business. I did some consultant work along the way, but basically I went back into build a company in Evansville, Indiana.
Okay.
For a few years, and then left, went back into consulting again, sold my portion of that, went back into consulting again, and then I went through a divorce in that period. I met my new wife, who's a beautiful lady on the website, on our Smith Pink Trucks website. Most guys who are in this industry, if they're out, if they're looking for a dating or somebody, when a woman asks you what you do and you say you're in the trades, it's usually a great kickoff to the conversation. They don't think that electrical and HVAC is really a good trade. And of course, we know it's a great trade. You can make great money at it, and it's a very honorable trade. But the thing that came back to me after I told her I was in the trades, and she goes, "Oh yeah, what do you do?" I said, "Well, HVAC, plumbing, electrical." She goes, "I'm a better plumber than you." If you look online and you look at this woman, you go, "You don't even know what a wrench is." But no, she's Polish, Luhansk Eva, the Polish plumber, grew up in her family of plumbers. And when was a little girl, she was the youngest child, and she would go out with her brothers when they were running service calls because she wanted to be part of the family, right? So yeah, she's been in the business. She knows the business, plumbing business. And so it was a match made in heaven, right? It didn't take me long to try to lock that down. Besides, she's really beautiful. And so we bought we were looking around. We were in California. We had to get out of that state. That's a tough state to do business in. We came to Colorado Springs. We found this company, Smith. We bought them May of 2018. So they'd been in business a long time before we bought them. In 2017, they did 640,000 in sales. And by 2020, we were doing 16.5 million.
Awesome.
We'll finish this year
Drastic.
22 million. So
Fantastic.
yeah, it's been a great growth. There are some challenges, obviously, that you have to go through to do that. But no, it's been a great ride. We have a great team. We just moved into a new 13,000 square foot office building and warehouse staging area. You know, it's running really well. I wish I was 20 years younger than I am, because I would love to stay in this business another 20, 25 years. But unfortunately, the end of the journey's coming, and it's time for me to maybe relax a little bit. Although I love what I do. I love getting up. I love coming in. I love being out in the field, working with the guys. It's what they say, find it something you love and you never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
it's
true.
There's headaches. Don't get me wrong. There's always headaches, customers are challenging, but by and by, I've done a lot of things and I love doing this.
That's awesome. And there's a lot to unpack there. That's definitely a really cool origin story. So you guys bought it in 2018. You guys had the massive growth from 2018 to 2020. And then you guys have scaled it even further. Yeah. So what was it like that first year? Like, you buy a new business, you guys definitely did some rebrands. Like, you know, what was that like? Especially it's new territory. You're coming from California to Colorado. Like,
well, my business is more in the Midwest, in Wisconsin and then Evansville, Indiana.
Okay.
So I was in the Midwest. When I went out to Arizona to do some consulting work for Ken Goodrich, I've known Ken for 25 years, and he's a tough cookie, but he's a very smart guy in our industry. Has done a lot of things very well. I went out to work with him for a while, left there. I've done a few of these for Ken where I go out for 3 or 4 months until he's pretty much tired of me, and then I go do something else. But we've worked together off and on a long time. But I came out, was doing some consulting, and when I met my wife in California, I actually was not I didn't do the HVAC trade for about 1.5 years. I took over as the CFO controller for an HVAC plumbing distributor out of Oakland named Rubenstein Supply Company. Because of my background, right? I'm a CPA and I have a graduate degree in finance. So it was a way for me to be there. I didn't think I'd ever start a business again, but we wanted to get out of California. We came here and we found this company. They'd been around a long time. As most older companies, they don't have a lot of cash flow, don't have the experience on how to grow. They were just plodding along, doing about 600,000 a year, couple of guys, right? Just it was your typical small mom and pop shop. We came in, we looked at branding. The branding story is a really interesting story. I started out actually with yellow trucks. And kind of, you know, like the brands that are out there now, almost everybody has some sort of caricature, right? Some sort of character animal or animation or something. We were the same. We had what my employees like to call the mic emoji. We had sort of this plumber with a big wrench on it that was kind of muscular on our trucks. And so we had some trucks. We had probably by that point early on, we had grown to maybe 27, 28 trucks there in the first year. And my wife was working in the business with us and she went to get us lunch one day. She drove up in the truck and the guy getting her food kind of said, "Hey, are you a plumber?" And she goes, "Well, I can do plumbing, but I don't go out and do plumbing." He goes, "Well, if you were, you can come to my house anytime." Right. And so she was kind of a little afraid to tell me that. He thought I'd go there and beat the guy, but I thought it was a great thing. We immediately went to her on the pink trucks and we did a couple only first. And then we were meeting with a company that called us and said, "Hey, we've seen your trucks and we really think they're great." So we hit the lunch with them. They wanted to talk to us about branding and branding development. And I said, well, and they were talking about the pink trucks. Well, we had 2 pink trucks and we had 25, 6, 7 yellow trucks. And I said to them, "Well, what do you think about the branding on our yellow trucks?" And there really was a stare from the other side that says, "You have yellow trucks?" So that's when we decided we rebranded the whole thing. It wasn't cheap. We rebranded the whole thing.
Yeah.
But now we're known as the pink trucks. We run about 100 trucks now, and everybody knows us by the pink truck.
Yeah. Hey, Local Heat fam. I want to take a brief break from this conversation. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, and I wanted to share something new with you. If you're a contractor, remodeler, or service business owner who's tired of relying on referrals, or hoping that leads to show up, I want to encourage you to take my Hard Hat Ad Builder Challenge. It's a 5-day one-on-one challenge, meaning you'll get 5 personal coaching calls with me, where I'll walk you step by step through building an ad campaign that actually brings in leads. No groups, no fluffs, just me and you focused on launching a lead generation system tailored for your business. If you've ever felt stuck, invisible online, or unsure how to market yourself, this challenge is the shortcut you've been waiting for. The link is in the show notes below, so grab your spot now before my calendar fills up. Now back to the conversation. I mean, that's a great story, and it's funny how you guys kind of just like trickled your way into it. But I saw the pink trucks, and that was the first thing that stuck out to me. And you guys even put it in your domain name, right? smithpinktrucks.com, which I think is clever, because when people see you on the road, that's probably how they Google search you. You probably see the Smith, and then they see pink trucks, and it's the first thing they type. So I thought that was genius. So you said that first year you bought it, you guys had a couple guys and probably a couple trucks. How did you guys scale so quickly to 26, 27 that first year? Did you guys do advertising? I know you guys rebranded and made them yellow, but what were some things that you guys did that first year to really see such a big boost? Right? Because a lot of guys, when they're just getting started and they're stuck in that 600, 700, really sub a million phase, they're trying to figure out how do they scale past that. So what did you guys do to get the ball rolling?
Yes. And I talk about this a little bit I do some training for Goodman and Daikin. One of the things that I do for them training is a pricing and branding strategy program. Ben, who's the director of training for Goodman and Daikin, great story there. His first job in this business was at my company in Wisconsin. I brought him into the business, and now Ben is the head of all training for Goodman and Daikin. He's an amazing, not a young man anymore. He's probably more middle-aged, but he's a very smart, astute guy and did a great job. But I do a class for them on branding and pricing. So what a lot of companies, so we grew the business by simply taking care of customers they already had. And that's pretty common for people who have grown a bigger business and take greenfield it or go in. And we have a guy in our market who basically came in less than a year ago, and he's crushing it because he's got an amazing brand. And you got to tip your hat to the guy. It's like, yeah, he's a pretty smart guy. But typically what it is you take care of the customers that the other guys aren't. So for example, when you go out and you do a spot sewer repair on a line that's 60 years old, well, maybe you should let the customer know that replacing the whole sewer line rather than a piece at a time could be advantageous. And so we started just offering customers choices and options. And we found that rather than a $600 or $700 repair, they wanted a, $8,000 to $14,000 system replacement. Not pushing anything, just saying, look, you've got a 16, 17-year-old piece of equipment. You've got the blower motor that's gone out, that's not under warranty, of course. I'm not going to push it one way or the other, but it may make sense. And of course, you have to have financing. You have to have a merchant service account. You have to have all of the ways to help people pay for the service you're offering, because nobody can write a check. It was tough 10 years ago. It's virtually impossible today. Nobody has any money. I'm hoping that changes, because I feel bad for everyone. Living paycheck to paycheck the last couple of years with inflation and all the stuff we saw, it's tough. Yeah. We grew just by taking care of the customers. We did a very little amount of marketing, not much at all. We went from 600,000 in 2017 to 2.4 million in 2018. And we did that 2.4 million in 8 months because we didn't buy them until May 1st. Wow. So I believe it was either July or October, we did more that month than they had the previous year.
Their current customer base.
With their current customer base, really not pushing too hard for outside customers. I find that that's another thing that contractors sometimes miss out on, is they spend all their time and money trolling for new customers rather than providing promotional opportunities or discounts or, contacts with their regular customers. Their existing customer base should get their love. Sometimes you got to offer them, listen, winter's coming up, a humidifier might make sense. We're going to give all of our current customers first shot at 30% off a humidifier installation until October 31st. And you put that out there for your customers first, and it's not available to the general. So you take care of your customers first. So that was the first year. The second year, that's when we went from about 2.4 to about 4.85. So we doubled that next year.
Double in size.
And that was really based on just the traditional HVAC marketing, maintenance, spring and fall, and then just being available to the customers. I have, like I said, a great team. If anybody thinks they're not in the retail business when you're doing retail HVAC, you're missing.
Yeah.
I worked it out with some guys so that they would work weekends. They would work Saturday, Sunday, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. They worked 3 days on, and I gave them 4 days off
Yeah.
because
You split the schedule.
they could make as much money in those 3 days running weekend calls as they did during the week on normal hours. And they were younger guys; they didn't care. I mean, for them, getting off Friday night, sometimes Saturday was a little tough, but those guys getting off during the week sometimes was actually more favorable for them. They wanted that, right?
Yeah.
So we had some retail hours that helped us. And then again, just, marketing professionalism of answering the phones, dispatching technicians, training your guys, communication training, product training.
Were you performing most of that training, or were you guys outsourcing that and bringing in additional companies to kind of help with the trainings? How did that go?
We did a little of both. So
Okay.
I would do a lot of day-to-day type training and working with them and other things. But we did have, we did get involved with some other training companies to help us. Believe it or not, some of
Yeah.
the technical training by the manufacturer is actually pretty darn good. So we would
Yeah.
schedule as much as we could for, heat loads or air or duct design or
Hmm.
how to use particular tools for manometer, valve gauges and other things to make it better and to get better readings. We had a lot of
Hmm.
manufacturers provide that training, technical training. I was more the communication and customer service training.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Okay. So you guys, so your first year, first 2 years, you grew drastically. You guys grew with a bunch of new trucks. I know you said it was kind of like the traditional route of marketing. Did you guys always have HVAC, electrical, plumbing? Did you guys always have all of those service lines, or are those things you added in as you got bigger?
so,
What stage did you add those?
so we had plumbing and HVAC first.
Hmm.
We grew that for a couple of years. We added electrical in 2021.
Hmm.
I said 2021. We were a subcontractor of electrical work here in Colorado Springs. It's probably, if not the toughest, one of the toughest building code markets that I've operated in. I'm sure there's tough ones out there, but Colorado
Yeah.
Springs is unique. For 25 to 28 years, when I owned HVAC, we could always hook up our air conditioners to existing disconnects as long as we couldn't run to the panel and put a new circuit in, but we could hook up to existing circuits. You can't do that here. You
Yeah.
can't touch anything electrical on an HVAC plumbing install. So, or
Wow.
HVAC, like a furnace air conditioner install, you have to pull an electrical permit and have a master electrician or residential electrician do that work. So we were doing that, paying a lot of money to another company, and I decided to just buy them and bring them in house.
Yeah. Smart move. So, okay. So you guys added that in 2021 after you guys had already had the growth from 2018 to 2021. Um, you make it sound very easy, where you kind of just came in, you did some branding, you took care of your existing customers, you sold them on bigger projects, if it made sense for them. Obviously, not going in and taking advantage, but giving customers the option, right? If they do want to go this route. Sounds like you guys brought in financing to make it very easy for them to do. And then you guys have scaled from that 5 million, where I think in 2020, upwards to now up to 22 for this year. What are the changes here? From 5 to 10, did you guys have to spend more on advertising? Did you go to TV commercials? Did you try paid ads? How did you guys kind of continue to grow that market? Did you say, okay, we're leaving a little bit more residential, going to commercial? Like, what did you guys do?
So we doubled every year for the first, I think, 4 years. So we went from basically 2.5 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20,
Yeah.
approximately. We did about
Hmm.
18 that fourth year, not quite 20. But there's a couple things people have to understand. One is I'm an older guy, had been doing this a long time. So I had some capital behind me that I could invest in the equipment and trucks, backhoes, vac trucks, everything you need to do the job. I think we have well over about $8 million worth of equipment and trucks on the books. And so you have to have some money to grow like that
Yeah.
for the trucks and also for the advertising. Well, mostly we did was just, again, really marketed to a customer base that had been around since 74. So we got a customer base that was 38, 40, going to say about 40 years old. So they had lots of customers. We marketed to that base. We probably got our first 2 years of growth really just out of the customer base. So anybody who's greenfielding is going to have to spend more in advertising than we do. If you greenfield,
Yeah.
A perfect example is in our marketplace here at Colorado Springs.
Mm-hmm.
The company that came in less than a year ago probably invested. It was someone who had sold their business in another location. He came here because they had a non-compete. So they had lots of money.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is they probably put 3 to 5 million into advertising here in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't do that if you're just trying to start out on your own. But if you sold your business for
Sure.
$40 million and you want to build another one, you can invest for that, right? We didn't quite have that much, but we stuck to the fundamentals. We did a little radio, we did a little TV, a lot of direct mail, a lot of handing out business cards, just, the blocking and tackling of our industry to try to generate revenue and new customers. And obviously, you can see from our Google reviews that we have a 4.9 star rating.
Mm-hmm.
Customer service is very important to us. So when the guys go out, treating the customers well, taking care of any issues right away. So we have a 100% satisfaction guarantee on our pricing and on our people. So anybody who has an issue is call them up and say, like, most of your 1-star reviews are going to come from people that spend under $500 on a service. Just true.
100%. Yeah.
Somebody pays $30,000 for a job, loves you, wants to tell all their friends. Somebody who pays $379 for a service fee wants to just, rake you over the coals online. So if anybody does post a 1-star review, whatever I call them and I just look, we have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy with the service you provided, tell me how much of the $379 you spent with us you'd like back. Would you like it all back? Do you think there was any value to the service? Because we'd be happy to refund 100% of your money if you feel like it wasn't a good experience for you and your family. And if there's my techs in the field have that, if I was an owner of a company, I'd give all my techs all that ability to say, look, if it's under a $500 adjustment to the invoice, you're there with the customer, make it. I mean, you can look them in the eye when you're going and see if they're upset. Say, Ms. Jones, have I done anything to upset you today? Because it seems like perhaps my service wasn't to the 5-star service that I'm striving for today. And if they go, well, you did great, but I got a bill here for $480 and it took you, 40 minutes or it took you 30 minutes, right? And we have a little fun with that, by the way. I treat them a little fun. The fun thing is to say, well, I could have sent somebody out who wasn't as good as me and let them take twice as long, but that really would have been good for you or me, would it? But you go, look, I've experience in this, but I want you to be satisfied with my service and the price. What do you think is fair for my service? I don't care what they say. Most of the time, people are pretty reasonable. Well, I don't mind spending $350, but $480 seems like a lot. Okay, $350 it is. Again, you don't have to service them in the future, but you don't want to leave a bad taste in their mouth because, as I've told many people, if you have 100 5-star reviews or 500 5-star service events, you're probably going to get maybe 20 to 25 of them to actually acknowledge your 5-star service online. If you have 5 1-star service events, every single one of them are going. So, you want to keep that strong referral online, and you do that by giving them some dollars or extending a service warranty or whatever it takes to make sure that customer's happy before you leave.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important and not enough people put an emphasis on that. And, when I talk to people that are around your size, it's the same story every time. They're willing to refund and spend whatever they need to make sure that customer is happy. And that's typically the biggest difference. You've scaled your team how big are you guys now? How many techs do you guys have? How many trucks? You said a little over 100, but
we have about 100. We have over 100 trucks out there. Obviously, not everybody's driving a truck every day because we have extra, maybe install trucks, extra pickup trucks to pull dump trailer, your other things we use on our plumbing side. But the total amount of people we have at our company right now is 94. About 70 guys are in the field. So project plumbers, service plumbers, maintenance techs on HVAC, service techs, installers. I have a drain team, right? So doing drains is a specialty. So we have drain teams. And then I've got 8 electricians. And so we've got a good bunch of guys and so We could grow. I mean, we're going to grow. We're sort of positioning ourselves for the next round. My objective in the Denver through Pueblo market is 50 million. So we've got some growing to do. Many of my peers that came in this industry in the 90s, who I know very well, that have sold their businesses, made it to 50 million. So that's kind of my personal goal.
It's your mark.
Yeah, kind of. I
Hmm.
mean, it's a lot different today than it was back then, right? I mean, I had a really big company in the 90s when I sold to Service Experts, and we were 6 million. And everybody,
Hmm.
a $6 million company in the mid 90s was a big company because we were installing furnace and air conditioners for $3,900.
Yeah.
A little different
Yeah,
today.
a lot of
I don't even
different.
think at 22 million I was as big as I was at Flood.
That's how it feels.
No, it
Is
wasn't.
that how it feels? It feels like it's not as big.
It does. And I'm telling you right now, I think that we're just about there. So that $6 million company in 1995 kind of feels
Hmm.
like about a $25 million company today with the
Hmm.
transactional stuff and that. I had 50 or 48 HVAC guys alone back then at a $6 million company. So
Yeah.
I don't even have that many today in my HVAC division. 2.5 times, 3 times the size of the one I had in Wisconsin where it was original.
So you have this goal of 50. How do you plan on hitting this? Is he going to double into advertising, go into new markets? Did you hire mentors to take you to the next level? What's your strategy around this?
Well, I haven't really hired or brought in any mentors to do that yet. Maybe down the road, but
Hmm.
for right now, we don't really do any business in Denver, and we're going to expand into that market. I think that it's a market that for our brand and our pricing strategy is good for our business. We
Yeah.
haven't really done that because we didn't have the facilities to do it out of. We grew so fast. We were doing 16 million out of a 2,500 square foot facility. I mean, there's no room for anybody, right? I bought
Yeah.
a whole lot behind our place just to park the trucks because there was no room. Now that we have the
Yeah.
new facility, we're going to expand by finding another location and just keep our shared services here. So that's accounting, dispatching, call taking, legal,
Yep.
insurance management, all of that. We'll keep that here and then we'll spread operations out. But here's the thing. It's really nice for contractors that have grown to provide some guidance for contractors who are just starting or just trying to grow. But here's the bottom line. Running a $5 million company, $5 to $10 million company is a great achievement. It's a wonderful business to run. You can
Yeah.
run a $5 million company at a double digit profit at 10, in the industry, they talk 20% or whatever. I'm telling you right now that if you're doing a 10% to 10 to 12% net profit every year on 5 million, you're not going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Headaches, the balance of life. I mean, I'm older, so I love what I do. I can spend all kinds of time on that. But if you got family commitments and other things, it's tough to balance all
Yeah.
that out and grow a business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with running a business that's, make your goal 5 million, lay it all out for yourself, and then just enjoy the business in your life. Why add the headaches? So there's no
Yeah.
extra ribbon you get at the end of your journey by being 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 million. This is a personal goal for me. But quite frankly,
Hmm.
if you're a younger guy in this industry, or if you're somebody in this industry who's even been in it for a while, there's nothing wrong with getting to 5 million, 8 million, whatever that number is, driving a 10 to 15% net profit and just enjoying
Hmm.
life. Like there's no shame in that.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I don't think it's talked about enough, but it's true. It's definitely true. Um, so you've taken me through kind of like your origin story, how you guys have kind of grown, um, what your goal is for this year or coming up for taking the company to Denver and things like that. You talked to me a little bit about private equity and having some of those conversations. At what point did you feel like they started reaching out to you? Obviously, you're looking to expand to 50 and then maybe sell. What has been your experience? What does that look like? Is there any lessons you've taken that you're like, if you're getting a call like this or something like this has happened to
Yeah.
you, be on the lookout? What have you experienced?
Yeah. So the whole thing with getting your business ready to sell.
Hmm.
We experienced this in the 90s, the first sort of consolidation movement of ARS and Service Experts and Blue Dot and Comfort Systems USA. These types of companies were on the public exchanges, not private equity, that happened in the 90s. I kind of learned from that, right? I was at the corporate level and got to see what was going on. The same type of thing is happening today, but here's the pluses and the minuses. If you're a good sized company, they're going to come in and write you a check, a nice check, and you're done. They may want you to stay a little bit. They may not. My experience is that if you sell to private equity and you stay, you have to be willing to release the reins, because how you ran it and how you build it is not how they want to run it and they want to build. So if you're not comfortable just releasing the reins and sort of following what they want you to do, it can be frustrating for sure. The other thing too is they're going to completely change your culture. So in my particular case, and I'm very protective of it, I have a great team. I have great culture, and I know that will change on the sale if you sell it to the wrong group. Because there's groups out there. Remember, there's 3 levels of groups, right? There's the group at the bottom who's just trying to mash a bunch of revenue together and sell it to the next level, right? These folks have no skin in the game. They don't want any skin in the game. They don't want to know anything. They're money guys. They have no idea what your business is. They want profit and revenue numbers. If you can't get it, they'll get it from somebody else because they have a timeline to flip it to the next consolidator, right?
Yeah.
Please avoid that. That's a nightmare for you and your team. There's sort of the mid-range of guys who actually have support structures for private equity or have support structures for businesses to help them grow, are supportive because they have a longer term vision before they sell to the next level. Then you got the top tier guys, and a top tier guy isn't going to touch you under about 10 million in EBIT because that's not their business model. Their business model isn't fixing systems or developing people. It's driving incremental revenue into existing businesses that have all the infrastructure. Okay. They may be a group that's looking for a little bit longer term. All right. Private equity has its advantages and disadvantages. If you're a contractor in the market that's nimble, has a good customer base, good customer service, they're going to come to your market. Like they're here now, right? I've got Apex and a couple folks here in my market.
Bigger
but
and bigger.
They have a different business strategy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of any of those guys coming to our market because they have a different business strategy than I do. I can tell you in my market, most of the private equity companies or the guys that are looking to get there are 30 to 50% higher in price.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I mean, we go in sometimes to sell our systems and they're literally 50 to 80% sometimes, depending on the system, more than we are.
Yeah.
That's not hard to compete against. You know, not everybody's their customer and not everybody's going to own the whole market, right? Your max market shares for anybody is 20% under a single brand.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that in Service Experts when we tried to buy more in certain areas and other areas, it just didn't work. Maybe it's a little different today. I haven't talked to some of the other guys who are doing this, but about 20% is most. So that's 80% of the market still available.
Yeah.
No contractor should be afraid of them coming to the market. You have to work a little harder. Maybe you have to work a little smarter, but they're going to carve out their niche for sure. They're going to spend enough money to carve out their niche, but you don't have to be afraid of them. They're not going to put you out of business unless you are not on top of your game, unless you're not really working to treat your guys well, to treat your customers well. They're not going to. So one of the things that you really need to do as a contractor is stop fishing in another guy's pond. Take care of your own pond. Take care of your customers. Love your customers. Make sure they love you. Reach out to them. On every job we do over $4,000, we send our customers a travel, like sort of lunch cooler with a dozen cookies in it. And we ask for their feedback. We send out sometimes chocolates on Valentine's Day. Mm-hmm. And we love our customers. You know, thank you for being our Valentine's. We spend money internally to continue to have that relationship with our customers. And more contractors should do that, right?
Sure.
The cost of customer acquisition is high. The cost to maintain a great relationship with your customers is half that. Yeah, and there's two philosophies on this. First philosophy is customers for life, service agreements, taking care of them with thank you notes, little things you send to them, just appreciating their business. When they do spend money with you, sending them a nice little gift basket or something. You're reinvesting in the relationship with your customers. That's one side. There's other contractors out there, big guys, who don't give a crap about that. And what they're doing is they're just hunting, they're hunter killers. They're looking for that next kill to feed their business, right? Well, you got to ask yourself, what market are you in? If you're in an LA market or you're in a huge Indianapolis, you're in a huge market, you're never going to run out of customers. If you're in a market with less than, say, 100,000, 150,000 single family dwelling units, you better take care of your customers because you are not going to hunt your way to large numbers by just burning customers. What's the most you get from today and not worrying about it? And that's philosophy that's out there. I've seen people teach that philosophy.
Yeah.
Like I've heard people say service agreements are dead. Like in what universe are service agreements dead? Like not in any universe I live in. You know what? If all you've got, if you're just marketing to 8 million people or 5 million, 3 million people in your market, of course, you don't have to worry about taking care of them in service agreements. But for the majority of us in our business, we have service agreements to take care of our customers, to provide them an ongoing value. And there's a hunter killer model and there's a farming model. I prefer the farming model because in up and down markets, like I have some companies that I'm friends with, there are companies out there, large companies that were year over year in 24 or whatever, down 30%.
Yeah.
That's only because they don't have service agreements. They haven't matched their service agreements to their revenue base, and the hunter killer model went in the toilet because people didn't have any money. If you want to build your base, you have to have service agreements and you have to take care of your customers. Spend minimally 30% of what your ad budget is just thanking the customers and sending them things to let them know you still care about them. That's a big part of long-term business growth is taking care of your customers. It's just so important.
Hey, Local Heat fam. I want to take a brief break from this conversation. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am, and I wanted to share something new with you. If you're a contractor, remodeler, or service business owner who's tired of relying on referrals or hoping that leads to show up, I want to encourage you to take my Hard Hat Ad Builder Challenge. It's a 5-day one-on-one challenge, meaning you'll get 5 personal coaching calls with me, where I'll walk you step by step through building an ad campaign that actually brings in leads. No groups, no fluffs, just me and you focused on launching a lead generation system tailored for your business. If you've ever felt stuck, invisible online, or unsure how to market yourself, this challenge is the shortcut you've been waiting for. The link is in the show notes below, so grab your spot now before my calendar fills up. Now back to the conversation. How do you guys split up your advertising budget now at your size?
So let's equate Google LSA, those types of things. Let's equate those to Yellow Pages back in my day. So we would spend 50, 60% of our budget on Yellow Pages because everybody went there. You'd have multiple locations and all that stuff. Google and marketing on Facebook, Instagram, all those places, investing in the backup to that, back in the video and the things that go with all that. That's where you're spending your money. I would say 50% of our money is spent with Google or Facebook or Instagram, trying to, again, just tickle the audience out there to go to a landing page or go to a video where we can give them more information.
Yeah.
I would say half your budget's probably spent on Google LSA, if you're big enough to do that. If you're a little guy, you got to go get some guerrilla marketing.
Yep.
Like you have to be handing out business cards. You have to be getting your technicians to put door hanger. You have to be meeting people at school events or sports events and telling them, listen, give me a call, give my company a call and tell them I gave you this card and we're going to give you a fill in the blank. We're going to give you $100 off your next service call. Build that into your marketing budget. So if you want to give away $100,000 worth of free services to customers to try your service, that doesn't mean it's free. I don't like free. Yeah. Free means it has no value. But if it's $100 off a service call or $200 off a service call, right? And a service call of $500, you take that money and take it out of your ad budget because you're really investing in the development of that customer, right? So don't worry about spending money to buy customers. It's cheaper to do that than it is necessarily spend Google money because it's expensive. And I don't know what the number is. My budget for Google LSA this year is about $800,000. Mm-hmm. Not many companies can do that, right? And then my
Yeah.
total advertising budget is about 1.8 million, which is about 6%, 6.5% of 22 million in revenue. So,
Hmm.
but for little guys, you can't do that. So what you have
Yeah.
to do is you have to do guerrilla marketing and really get down in the trenches and find ways to invite people to your business, have your technicians invite people to your business without spending a lot of money.
Yeah. That's very good. What are some other, I guess I know you've done some trainings. Have you done any training specifically on business development? Um,
Yeah, in fact, we're going to be launching that. That's a great question. So as I get here later in life, then I want to develop sort of complete general manager business development structures. Ben Middleton, so that's his name. Ben Middleton with Goodman Van Dyken is coming out next week to meet with me, and we're going to build an entire business development, general manager business development training module that they're going to offer through Goodman Van Dyken, and I will lead it.
that's awesome.
So we'll talk through everything. That's every phase of business development, business management. We'll develop it, and it'll be about a week long class. So you're going to have to spend some time out of the business to get this done. We'll do it in slower times, like when you're not, the traditional downtime in H. Ben is coming here next week, and we're going to sit down. I'm doing a podcast with him, and then we're going to sit down with his team, and we're going to sort of do the framework for a complete business development, branding development strategy
Awesome.
offering.
Awesome. Yeah, once you get that out, I'll definitely share that out. Put it out. I'll update the video and put it at the bottom. So if anybody wants to grab that for sure, that'd be great. But yeah, I think that's all I have. If you have anything else you want to share, keep going.
The last thing I'll say on this, and this is like a nuance here to the industry.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to partner with your quote unquote competitors. Don't be afraid to partner with people in your market who understand that the pie can grow. It's not if I get a sale, you means you don't get one. No.
Yeah.
So what we've done is because I've got so much money in trucks and equipment,
Hmm.
um, we actually offer support services to other HVAC guys. So we branded it differently.
Yeah.
But here's a perfect example. Contractors hate to do duct cleaning, aero seal, or the duct sealing. It's very difficult to have a tech that says, oh, put this system in today, and oh, we're going to do duct cleaning, aero seal tomorrow. They don't like that. They've never liked it. I've been doing duct cleaning for 33 years. So we developed a standalone business in duct cleaning
Hmm.
and aero seal that love to do that. And we offer that to other companies. So now
Smart.
they can sell it, they can make a nice margin, but we do the work for them and we've got the investment of.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid in a market to leverage what you do with other companies. Take your piece, right? How many can afford a $285,000 vac truck? How many plumbers can afford the backhoes and the lining machines, right? But if you're a plumber doing drain cleaning, do you think you could sell that job?
Yeah.
You sell a $40,000 drain replacement job, you take 20% for selling it, and then have this separate company that has all that equipment go do it, guaranteed to do it right,
Yeah.
use their license even to do it. So they have to do it right. And what's wrong with you making 8 grand on a $40,000 sale and let some other company do it for 32,000
Yeah. It's true.
with the cost of equipment and everything that's out there? If you really want to provide the service, get paid a nice commission or a piece, roll it into the financing you got for the customer so that everything's in one package, and then subcontract that to a company that's going to do it as a standalone and not take your customer and not get your customer. That's the next level because what's going to happen is more and more private equity comes in, more and more private equity has money, more and more private equity buys all the things they need to be successful. And you got to compete against it, or you lose your customer. So the
Yeah.
way to do that as a smaller contract organization is get out of your head that dealing with Smith Plumbing and Heating, if you're Billy Joe Bob's Heating and Air Conditioning in Colorado Springs,
Hmm.
that can be a win-win for both companies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take your customer. You keep your customer. You offer them service you make money on and keep them away from private equity.
Yeah. It's the affiliate model, and it's not being scared to talk to your competitors and understand that the pie is bigger. There's enough for everybody to eat, and making sure that you build relationships in your own industry.
Yeah, 100.
It's so important. I feel like a lot of times contractors are so scared of other people taking their customer, even speaking with them. And I think it's a complete wrong mindset. You should be very social. If you're a business owner, you should be social with everybody. For
Yeah,
no
and
one
there's going to be
yeah,
clowns out there you don't want to be part of. There's going to be people who
for
don't
sure.
want to play by the rules like everybody else, but you're going to find a great within your area. Maybe it's a boiler specialist. Maybe it's an oil specialist. Maybe it's a duct cleaning aero seal specialist or duct sealing specialist. Maybe it's
Yeah,
a sewer lining specialist.
yeah,
So, you don't want to have that issue, right? You want to be able to sell your customer service, make some money on it, but have another company you trust with that customer go and do the work. And if you could build that trust, you could do a lot of great things.
yeah. I agree. There's definitely some good lessons in there. So I know we're kind of coming up to the end of our time now. We're trying to keep this around like that 45, 40-minute mark. I just have two more questions for you. What's something you've learned in the last 6 months about your business or about yourself or something that you think you could pass on to somebody else? That's the first question.
If you're looking to grow or develop, it's still tough out there for your consumers.
Hmm.
Build your modeling and your pricing structure, build your business, your go-to-market business to be able to survive providing service. We're finding in this year, maybe more than any other year, we're seeing that people still don't have any money. A
Yeah.
large part of the customer base, they're really still struggling to make ends meet, pay their mortgage, pay their utilities, buy groceries, take care of their kids. It'll get better. We're already seeing it better. Inflation's down, purchasing power's up. We're already seeing it better. But don't be afraid of working with that customer and providing them a great service. Like maybe that $300 to $400, $500, $600 service bill that you have with them on a 16-year-old system isn't the right way to go for them in the long term. But the short-term
Hmm.
answer is that's all I can afford and get some financing. We do an astronomical amount to me this year of financing of service tickets of about $1,000. But they
Wow.
need 6 months to pay, whether it's plumbing, whether it's electrical, whether it's HVAC. So
Hmm.
understand that the days of the big ticket replacements, big sewer lines or whatever are fewer and far between because of the fact it's tough for them to come up with the money, tough for them to get financed. So I think 2025, you really need to focus on helping people sort of make it on what they have. Maybe your service is up 20, 30, 40% per year over year because you're
Hmm.
doing more service. Build your business model around doing that so you don't get caught short with overspending. But I do think 26, I believe, is sort of the bounce back year. A lot of things that people put off, I think they're going to have more money. I think the purchasing power is going to be going up. But I think people will be in a better position to go back to the traditional repair, replace type stuff you're working on. But this year for
Yeah.
me and for anybody out there, I'd say don't get too far over your skis. Don't spend too much money on advertising, marketing, because the return is going to be not what it used to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's powerful, and that's definitely going to help a lot of people. It's true. So where can people find out more about you, about your story? Do you have any like socials? Do you post anywhere online?
I try
Obviously,
to
your
keep
business is growing.
I try to keep my head down because it seems like every time I pop my head up, somebody tries to cut it off. You can always go on to smithpinktrucks.com. You can put in a little things. Hey, Mike, I signed a thing. And by the way, I'm 100. If you are operating your business in Colorado Springs, call me.
Hmm.
People have this zero sum game. Like the pie is only so big. Look, if the pie is big enough for everybody, if you're out
Yeah.
there and you're saying, hey, what are you doing on your pricing for your service or your replacements, or how do you go to market with maintenance, or how do you train your guys? What's the motivation? What's your compensation packages? Reach out to me. I'll share it all with anybody because believe it or not, in our industry, you're never coming to Colorado Springs and taking my business. I've been doing training now for, gosh, probably 20 years. If I took a room full of contractors and gave them the keys to the kingdom on how to build their business, 20% of them would kind of believe. The other 80 would go, nah, I know how to do it better. Right. So I share because you can take what you want, take what you need, you know, deep six, the rest. It's okay. Don't hurt my feelings. I love giving back to this industry. When I was coming up, there was a lot of contractors who provided me with a lot of help and incentives. So I'm more than willing to give back and help anybody who's interested in anything. It's the least we can do is reach back and help people up. So yeah, reach out to me. I can give you my email. It's mrobinson@smithpinktrucks.com. shoot me an email. Say, hey, I saw you. I'm struggling with this, or I'm struggling with that, or I've had success here, but I can't do this. I'll give you my honest feedback. Take it, use it, or just delete it. It's okay, but I'll be happy to share with you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Mike, thanks again for coming on. You shared a lot of great info. We're definitely going to have to do another podcast further down the line and bring you back. I'm excited to see how this one turns out.
Perfect.
Thanks for sharing. The contractor community is going to owe you a big thank you for this one because there's some really good lessons.
I hope so.
Um,
It's been a great industry for me. I want to give back. And the way you give back is you don't have to be fearful.
yeah, we'll definitely talk again. I'll be in touch shortly.
All right. Take care.